My name is Kevin Mills. I'm an energy professional with over 15 years of experience in assisting different customers achieving their energy needs. We have spent the large part of the last 10 to 15 years assessing customers' needs as it relates to energy and general energy management and energy efficiency. So we have been in the industry for a while, executing various projects at different levels as it relates to commercial projects, industrial projects, and of course, residential projects. But it didn't start there. It all started way back as a young chap where I was always very hands-on. That's where the kind of love for hands-on technical stuff kind of came from. I was always very hands-on. Anything around the house, I would fix it. If there was an issue with one of the pipes, I would try to fix it, by pretty much just buying whatever pieces that we can find from the closest hardware and just making whatever we have work as best as we can. So I've always been that kind of DIY person where I want to do it myself. Now, when I went to KC, in my latter years at KC, we started various engineering groups as well and social groups. And that also assisted me in trying to figure out the direction which I wanted to go. I had a love for physics. Big up yourself, MOD. That's Mr. Hemmings from Kingston College. He actually was the one who planted that seed in terms of my love for physics and science on a whole and the technical world on a whole. And since then, it has only blossomed into REDIS as it is now. But once I left KC and went to UE, we did quite a bit of work. I started not necessarily knowing exactly what I wanted to do, like so many other first year UE students. You know generally what you did from CAPE or A levels in my time. So you have a good feel of what subjects or courses you want to do, but you don't necessarily have it all figured out as it relates to your career path. So I was no different from anybody else. I actually started doing computer science. So ComSci was my first major. And then I actually switched to Geo, which was my second major. And then eventually I actually settled in physics. When I settled in physics, I did electronics, I did renewable energy. It was a relatively new course at the time, relatively new major. So there wasn't a lot of previous material that existed. So I think we were the third year of the renewable energy Bachelor's of Science course. So when we started doing electronics, we started doing some economics as well, and we started doing alternative energy. And what I recognized, and this is where it all kind of changed, I recognized that for my renewable energy courses, the labs, I actually did the labs. When we had our laboratory experiments, my renewable energy labs, I loved doing my renewable energy labs. At that point is when I recognized that, I kind of have this affinity to renewable energy specifically. And of course, people kept telling me that this is the way of the future and, you need to get energy from the sun, and fossil fuels is a finite source of energy, and it's just a matter of time before this becomes the big thing. So with those factors in mind, and the fact that I actually liked doing this thing, it was a no-brainer. So I went headfirst deep into renewable energy, not just the courses, but watched a lot of YouTube videos, saw how they did different things. So by the time I got to class the following day, I was a little bit au fait with the material before it was actually presented by the lecturers at the time, because I was watching YouTube videos. I won't make it seem as if I was reading 100 different articles, but I was certainly watching a lot of YouTube videos about solar energy, wind energy, hydro energy, and that kind of fostered this love and this passion for what we're doing now at REDIS. Completed my undergrad BSc with a major in alternative energy, minor in electronics, and economic, double minor, economics as well, because you need to have that financial side. It can't just be all sciences, so to speak. Once I completed my undergraduate courses and tenure, we went on to do an MPhil. So an MPhil is a Master's of Philosophy degree where you're largely doing a research. You have a small amount of courses that you do as well, but the large bulk of the degree is research. And once we completed our MPhil, we did quite a bit of project management. We did PMP at Mona School of Business and Management. So we have a project management certification. We went to the American Institute of Energy Engineers and we did our certified energy manager course. We got it, so I am officially a certified energy manager. So we've done quite a bit of other short courses as it relates to the carbon market, as it relates to electric vehicles, as it relates to just energy efficiency on a whole. We try to stay quite abreast of the technology and where it's going by staying up to date with, magazines. So we subscribe to different journals, we subscribe to magazines just to kind of stay abreast of what's happening. So went out there, started working for different companies, worked for a few companies as an engineer, locally designing and installing solar PV system. Left Jamaica for a while, went to live in Trinidad for a while, spent 3 years in Trinidad, also in renewable energy. And as a matter of fact, when I was in Trinidad, it actually made me a little bit more passionate about renewable energy as well, because as you can imagine, Trinidad at that time, so we're talking about 2012, somewhere there about 2012, 2013. So we're really talking about a long time. At that time, Trinidad, they are oil rich country. So Trinidad, they have a lot of natural resources as it relates to petroleum resources. So by extension, renewable energy in countries that have large reserves of petroleum, renewable energy is never going to be a big deal or a big thing because there's not much savings on the savings side. So people generally go with renewable energy services and technology for two different reasons. Primarily, that is. There are many reasons, but two primary reasons. One, the cost savings associated with implementing renewable sources of energy versus traditional sources of petroleum generated energy. And two, to help the environment, to be more sustainable, to go green, less emissions, that kind of thing. So when we were in Trinidad, the financial incentive was almost nil because the cost of electricity in Trinidad at the time was like 5 US cents per kilowatt hour per unit of energy, while in Jamaica, it was like 40 US cents per unit of energy. So you're talking about what, like 8 times the cost, 8 times less than the cost of Jamaica. So nobody was interested in renewable energy. So by extension, in living in Trinidad, I had to go above and beyond in terms of the knowledge base, in terms of design, the engineering of these systems. I also became a salesman because I had to do a lot of talking to convince people, again, because of their environment. So spending 2-3 years in Trinidad really actually molded me for this role now. Came back to Jamaica. I was working for a company in Trinidad, a renewable energy company in Trinidad, where I was the renewable energy engineer. The company wanted to expand to Jamaica. And because at the time, Jamaica seemed like a very lucrative market as it relates to renewable energy. At the time, I was operations manager for that branch of that solar company. And we ran that company from 2015 to 2017. So we spent about 2 years in that business, building it to a certain level. Then I went to work with another company as well before eventually starting my own business. And that was the birth of REDIS.